Moving on to our third speaker, Julie, who is a relatively new member of our group, has a speech. And again, I don't have an introduction. So Julie, I'm going to turn this over to you and let you introduce your own speech.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I jumped the gun. I am nervous. So by way of introduction, this is a recent recording that I made. I took out all the citations, identifying names and locations, and some examples for brevity, but it is basically a radio script, and I'm just going to read it the way that I revised it so that I could get some feedback. So I'm going to start. So you're listening to the news on 97.3 FM, KEPW, Eugene's listener-supported, people-powered, homegrown radio. In this brief update and commentary on critical race theory, it's important to point out what it is and what it isn't. And here's one gentleman's take on it.
Important issue in the governor's race here in Virginia.
Getting back to the basics of teaching children, not teaching them critical race theory.
And what is critical race theory?
Well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because I don't understand it that much, but it's something that I don't, what little bit that I know, I don't care for.
And what have you heard that you don't?
Well,
that you don't like?
I'm not going to, you know, I don't have that much knowledge on it, but it's something that I don't care for.
And while he may not know, and there are many opinions, briefly, critical race theory is an academic construct that is a decades-old idea centering the role of racism in cultural and political life, taught only in law school. However, in the current debate, its meaning is ill-defined. Its opponents have compared it to communism, Marxism, and I don't know what it is, but I don't like it-ism. Some parents say they don't even want differing ideologies or subjects taught to their children so they can factually tell the differences between them. Shielding different beliefs doesn't make them go away. Children are already exposed via various types of media and misinformation about them. The school could convey the facts to children in their formative years instead of prejudice, which is learned, not taught, as a negative social construct. Some of the people making educational decisions are either unable to point to the exact passages in books they object to or materials, or can identify them. When they can be identified, they tend to be relatively innocuous material. Let me breathe. Okay. And it extends beyond CRT. One board member said, "I think we should throw those books in a fire," referencing objectionable materials. Book burnings or bannings have historically not been looked upon favorably. And in weeding out books about race, they can also remove books about any ideas they don't agree with. Often written in broad and non-specific language, some states have already enacted laws that may infringe on First Amendment rights and certainly academic freedoms, effectively legalizing lies and/or ignorance. This huge waste of taxpayer time, money, and effort places much of the burden of this made-up cultural war on schools, teachers, and librarians. With the advent of the internet, unless one has strict parental controls, children can still go to the library or other places and view material with their friends. It's been happening since the dawn of time, from cave wall paintings to sculptures to kids passing around Playboys. Fun fact, Amazon reports higher sales of recently banned books. One parent thinks that children should be, quote, kept in a bubble. In Tennessee, a House bill states in part that lesson plans should not, quote, cause discomfort, anguish, or other distress because of the individual's race. However, this already happens for Black children when they learn what little they do about slavery, and no one has ever worried about their feelings. This is snowflake hypocrisy out in the open. But sometimes, in the pathetic attempt to interfere, it can backfire. A group of TikTok users got together and fought back by sending an email to a tip line for any parents or others to report to the state any school officials they found to be having, quote, objectionably or divisive subjects, objectionable or divisive subjects without defining what objectionable and divisive really is. And there's now a bill in Florida that would place video cameras in schools and force teachers to wear microphones and would allow parents to review video of any quote incident. So I guess to narc on your teacher. And pending legislation in Oklahoma allows a $10,000 fine per child per incident if an instructor were to teach anything that was in contradiction to the child's religious beliefs and trainings, which infers that the teacher must be aware of every child's religious preference rather than teaching what she knows, facts. But sometimes those tactics can backfire. Oh, I already said that, sorry. So some samples of the TikTok users' shenanigans were, here's one. I've heard reports that schools in Virginia are teaching Arabic numerals. I fear that we've become so focused on exposing CRT in public education that we've forgotten all about creeping Sharia law. Please address this matter immediately. Signed, Irma God. Here's another. I thank you for setting up this email address to stop the indoctrination of Virginia's children. Apparently, my daughter's teacher told her the shift in tectonic plates causes earthquakes, which is ridiculous since we know for a fact that the earthquakes happen because God is mad at the gays. That's signed by IP Freely. If ill-advised proponents of this made-up issue start coming to our educational meetings in Eugene, we have a strong community who appreciates history, education, and what is true and what is not. Knowing history is important, even if it does make you uncomfortable. It's better than repeating the really uncomfortable parts. Banning CRT is a distraction. It's meant to be a distraction, as he who tells the story controls the narrative. And our best weapon is truth. Reporting for KEPW News, this is Julie Lambert for Eugene's Resistance Radio.
That was a timely speech, for sure. Thank you, Julie.